Maybe you can give me some tips on how to get out of this.
I would just go back and say, hey, during my due diligence, the is way more extensive than I thought. And there's just no way I can do this for the budget I thought. I need to exercise my due diligence clause and cancel this contract.
There's not much meat on the bone for me to wholesale it and then, somebody to make what they want to make. So it might turn out that I just end up fixing flipping it and making some money. It won't be a lot of money, but it might be a good learning experience,
Do you want me to take a look at it?
Sure.
This one?
Yep, that's it.
Ooh, that's a doozy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing is hammered. No foundation issues?
Not that I felt. I mean, I didn't get it inspected yet, but it felt pretty solid. There was a spot around the toilet that maybe some subfloor needs to be replaced, but I mean, it seemed like the joists feel okay.
Okay, and what do you have for a rehab on this?
Like 100K.
Okay, what's the square footage?
It's 11.
Yeah. Yeah, so that feels about right. Let me take a look at what's going on here. Okay, and where are you? This one? No, where are you? You're right in this pocket here. You got an active flip on your street. Let's put some filters in here. What's your square footage?
1156.
Okay, so let's make sure we're not looking at anything too big. So I would go nothing over 1,400 square feet. Let's get rid of that. And then do you have a garage?
A detached garage, yep.
Okay, so let's say 1+, no basement over there.
No, just crawl space. There was probably piers.
So that got rid of a lot of stuff right immediately. And then I would stick with where you're right here at 10th and Queen. So you're in this little area here, but man, you're pretty much gridded out really well. So let's see. I would draw this as my market. I'd go from here, down here like this. You got this active right here that looks like a sort of a halfway remodel, I don't know if that's a full remodel. It's listed for $322 a foot. Let's look at some solds now. And I'm gonna go 6 months and let's see what's going on. Okay, so you got one down here. This guy got $259 a foot sold, and this is a rehab. And that's not too far from you because you're right over here somewhere. This one did really well and got $550 a foot. Let's see what's going on here. This is probably rehab too. Not really. I don't know why that got so high. Oh, it might be a bunch of lots. Look at it. It's like you got 3 lots going on there and stuff. So that's a little bit odd. This, though, is probably your best comp. Even though you're not a 2-story, are you?
No, single story.
But I mean, this is like a full remodel, this one. And that got $259 a foot. So then what's your square footage again?
1156.
And that thing got, what did we say it got?
259.
So let's just put us up at 259. So put you right around 300. Now we'll put the rehab at 100. No one's going to want to do a rehab that size unless they're making something decent.
Right.
Okay, so 100K rehab, 300 back end. What'd you get for a back end? Did you get higher than that?
I was thinking more like 330. 330 was like my good number. My conservative number is like 315.
315. Okay. I'm okay with that. I mean, I was thinking just on that one comp though. So we can look around for some more, but let's just say 315, but again, I'm going to want to keep this thing up a bit. Big, hairy, extensive rehabs. You got to make sure that there's a lot of meat on the bone for the flipper.
Right.
I'm not coming up with 144. I would have to drop this down. If I drop the wholesale fee down to 10, drop their profit down to 47, 100K rehab, 315 back end, 9% for closing and commission, 6% for carry. Even if we drop these down a little bit, we're still too far off. Unless you can pull a higher ARV or bring in a lower rehab, this is a little tight. Any questions on any of these numbers?
I don't know, maybe I got a little bit too excited and wanted to lock it up, but I mean, I feel like for me to fix and flip it, I'm not going to make a lot of money, but it might just be the value is learning experience through doing my first flip.
How would you finance it?
Hard money, and then I've made some connections with some private money people through like real estate meetups. So ideally it'd be, 80% from hard money and then 20% from private money. And that way I'm not really that much into it.
I would advise you not to do that because at 144, if you take it down and do it, you're going to definitely want to keep this at 6% of ARV for your carrying costs because you're going to be borrowing hard money, private money. That's not going to change. This isn't going to change much either because you're going to have closing fees and commissions. So that number is going to be pretty consistent, which means if you're going to try to get 315 and you're going to spend 100, you would make 25. But watch this, Joshua. Let's say that this goes to 110 and let's say that this goes to 300, which can easily happen, right? You get 300, not 315, and
Right.
this goes to 110, not 100. Then now you broke even, right? So at 145 on a buy, if your rehab's 110 and your ARV is 300, after commission and closing fees, you make exactly zero. So it's too tight. In a big rehab like this, you want to have a really good margin.
Right.
So I just got off the phone with one of my partners, and we had the same conversation, but our argument looked a lot different. The argument was, in fact, let me show you his numbers. I'll plug them in here. So we have a contract for 175, and we're going to spend 20 on the rehab and resell it for 260. And we got a little bit cheaper money because we have a guy that funds his deals 100%, and he's like 11% 1 point. So this is actually even a little bit lower. Just because that, I mean, it is what it is. Whatever you can get, you can get. This is probably up one. So let me fix this. Try to get this as accurate as possible. There we go. So it looks like this. So 9% closing commissions, 4% carry, 12% profit. Contracts at 270 or at 175, spend 20, sell it for 260. And his question was, should we do this to make 30? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like to do it and make 30, why would we do that? But it's literally the easiest rehab ever. It's fast, it's easy. We're in, we're out. We've got the money for it. You know what I mean? And we can't wholesale it because this is the exit price. So watch this. If we want to wholesale it, so we need to be at like 160, right? I told him I want to be at like 150, and we came in at 140, but we just couldn't get it, right? So the seller is like stuck at the 175 number, but I wanted to be here. 150, 25K wholesale, but instead we're a zero wholesale. And so it's like his question to me was, this is one of my partners. He's like, do I let it go or do we take it down and rehab it to make 30? We talked about it. We looked at all the comps. I felt comfortable with it. And I said, yes, only because the rehab is so fast and easy. But if this would have been like 100K, 80K, 50K, 60, if it would have been extensive at all, I'd have been like, no, it's not worth getting all hung up on a rehab to make 30 grand. You following me?
Right. Yeah.
Your problem is that thing's massive. I mean, that house is in rough shape. You're going to be doing everything. And whatever you think your budget is, you're going to be way over, even no matter how good you think you have a budget, because there's just going to be so many things that come up and contractors are going to be hitting you up every 5 seconds for change orders, right? Here's what I would do. If it looked like, oh, I overrode those numbers. If you right now were saying, Jerry, I can make 80 and I'm willing to roll the dice, because if I screw up and it goes over budget and I sell it for 300, not 315, and my rehab's 120, not 100, but I went in to make 80 and now I only make 40, okay. Like maybe that's worth it. But you're going in to make like 25, which could disappear real fast.
Right.
Does the numbers make sense though?
Should I get like a foundation guy in there to take a look? And if he says it's a lot, then I can come back to the seller and say, hey, because I still have like 6 more days on my due diligence.
But I mean, you need to be, I mean, what was our numbers? I think you need to be more like a 90. Okay, so follow my numbers here. You're 1156 at 273 a foot. That puts you at a 315 ARV, 100K rehab, 9 in closing and carry, or closing and commission, 6 in carry, 25 in profit puts you at an 80K, close to an 80K profit, which means your buy is 90. I would recommend don't touch that thing unless you get it for 90. Because again, let's say that this goes down to 300 on the actual sale. And let's say that that's 15 lower. And let's say that this goes up to 115, which very easily can. And then you're buying this for 90, then you're going to make 50. So I like that better. You screw up and make 50, you do it right and you make 80.
Right. That seems a lot better.
You always want to rehab where if you screw up, you still make money, because on paper it's one thing, but in actuality, they never tend to sell for quite as high as we hope, and you always go over budget, and they always take longer. So then you end up selling it for less, spend more on the rehab, and it takes longer, so you spend more in carrying costs. And so this number dwindles very quickly, which is why we want to have a decent buffer on this thing. And the bigger the rehab, the more the buffer. I would highly recommend, as you start flipping, especially your first couple flips, that they're super easy flips, like just carpet paint, maybe some cabinets and countertops. Like that's it. Like your project, this thing is an animal. I mean, like you need everything done on this thing.
Yeah.
Roof, siding, windows. There's no driveway, any kind of fencing out here probably. This thing's old. You're going to need like sand down the popcorn ceilings. You probably have old knob and tube. You're going to be doing a ton of electrical. Like you're getting rid of this stuff. I don't know what that is, like all doors. What is this thing here? You're going to be running, probably need to put AC in. You got paneling in here. What is this? You got a big step up. You're going to be ripping that out. You're probably going to be moving this wall so you have an open kitchen. So now you got a header going on here, because those comps were like open floor plans. This is gut. Like all this is just massive. Your water heater's in your kitchen with some pipe going up. Like that all needs moved around somewhere. What the heck is that? This is massive, man. Like 100 is probably too light. Literally, I'm serious. 100 is probably too light. I would not tackle this beast. Like I've been rehabbing for 20 years and I would not do it. If you gave me 120 budget, I would not do it.
Maybe you could give me some tips on how to get out of this.
I would just go back and say, hey, during my due diligence, the rehab is way more extensive than I thought. I've been running my numbers and there's just no way I can do this for the budget I thought. I need to exercise my due diligence clause and cancel this contract.
Okay.
Unless they said they'll give it to you for like 60. I don't think a rehabber would touch this thing for less than 90.
I had people give offers of like 130 and 126, but that was just verbal.
I don't see how anybody could pay that. I mean, if someone's willing to pay that, then go ahead and try to get it down to 105. But before you do that, I would call that guy up and say, hey, if I can get this to you for 125, how committed are you? Are you willing to put down non-refundable earnest money? Because I'm renegotiating with my seller and I can bring this to you at 125. I might be able to bring this to you at 125, but I'm not going to renegotiate my seller unless I know you're firm. How firm are you at 125? And if they're like, dude, I'm solid, I'll do it at 125, then you can go back at 110, 115. And it doesn't mean they'll do it, but at least you have a plan now.
Right.
I would do that.
Okay.
I'm glad you're still in due diligence, though. So this is easy. Is this with an agent or is this direct to seller?
Yeah, it's with an agent.
Okay, so easy. You call the agent back up and be like, dude, this rehab is way more than I thought. And that's easy to get out of. But get your buyer committed first and then renegotiate. Okay?
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay, keep me posted.
Will do.